Hello, everyone. So I initially filmed this as just a Zoom interview, but I feel like I didn't really give a good introduction to what these videos are that I want to create, what this video is, who I am. So I'm just gonna say a quick hello. Hi, I'm Colleen McCurley. I'm a musical theater major at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And I came up with this idea to start a little series of interviews just with friends of mine and different people I've met through the college audition experience audition process to show a wide range of different possibilities to pursuing a career in theater, and not necessarily just as an actor. I have some friends who are studying at school for stage management who I want to talk to them and share their experience, because I feel like there's not a ton online if you want to major in something like that. So that's just what I hope to share with you in these videos. I'm not an expert on this. This is just my experience, my friends' experiences, and things we learned along the way going through the audition process. So I hope you enjoy. And this video is going to be my friend Julia, who is a double major in theater at Northeastern. So,
Oh my gosh. Okay, so do you want to start by just saying like your name and the program that you're a part of?
So my name is Julia Vitale, and I'm a rising sophomore at Northeastern University, and I am a theater and communication studies combined major with a minor in performing arts administration.
Yes, that is a mouthful.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you tell people, I feel like it's a lot.
Well, like everybody at Northeastern has like two majors, a minor. It's like everybody's a mouthful, so.
That's fierce. I first want to ask what your mindset was like going into auditions, because that's like a huge thing I want to highlight with these videos, because I feel like where I started and where I ended was like two very different places, and I think that's the case for a lot of people, and that's like totally okay. But I like felt like I had to end up at a certain program. So what were you looking for in a school in the beginning?
Yeah, so I applied to, I think, 22 schools in total, and I think about 14 of those were audition-based musical theater BFAs. And the rest of them were academic schools that I applied to, like George Washington, American, Boston University, Northeastern, schools like that, I was like, if I don't get into a musical theater BFA, I have a backup, an academic backup. And so, but I was going in with the mindset that I was going to end up at a BFA program, which
Yeah.
didn't happen. But I went through the process, and I did get into three schools, but I kind of came to the realization that I didn't know if that was what I ultimately wanted, but I kind of felt like the pressure of like a lot of people around me was kind of making me think that that was what the best path was for me, when I don't know if ultimately it was, because I kind of was just in this mindset that that was the only path to take to get into the theater industry, which I am now learning is not the case.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's like the biggest thing I ended up realizing towards the end is like there's a million different ways to like be a performer, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's just in no way one set path. And so like I wish more people realize that, because that's such like a relieving thing to realize too.
And I mean,
Uh,
you are like in this very fast-paced program, which is
I said, let's go,
very
go, go.
different as well from a 4-year BFA program.
Yeah. And I think it's even interesting to find people who like don't do it at all. Like
True.
people who like finance majors in college, like that blows my mind, and then like end up on Broadway.
Mhm.
So neat.
Well, there's actually at Northeastern, there's quite a few like computer science majors for some reason who are very into theater. And there was a graduate
That's
last
weird.
year who just graduated as a computer science major and like acted in the shows at Northeastern, but now has his equity card and is working in theater in Boston.
See,
Just
that's
like,
so cool.
yeah.
Because also then that puts you in such a cool position of like other things,
Mhm.
like you could easily like make an app or something, or you know what I mean, develop like cool programming like to go along with theater, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Um, my other question was, this topic came up, I'll never forget. I think it was like my sophomore year at RCA, but we were talking about like how like in high school, because I know you took a lot of APs too and like were academically focused, and how sometimes going into conservatory program can feel like you're giving up a side of that. So like, what would you say to other students that felt that way? Because I feel like you kind of felt that, like sometimes
Yeah,
going to school, you're giving it up.
I definitely felt that way, and that was honestly one of the reasons why I didn't end up going to a BFA, but I do know that there are many people who were very strong AP students in high school and go to a BFA and are able to thrive in a better way, honestly, because they are able to look at things through like a critical thinking, holistic lens that we like learned in AP classes. And I don't think that you're giving up your academic side, you're just using it in a different way that you didn't in high school. But for me, I wanted to take, normal classes where I like write essays and read a textbook, and because I have just always been like a student like that. But I think that you don't have to give it up if you want to go to a conservatory.
For sure. I totally agree, because it's like, I always say, like, to be a good actor, I think you need to be a good person, and not just like in morals, but in understanding the world and like what's going on around you. And I think even though in high school at times, like, I was that student who felt like, oh, I want to be a performer, like math isn't going to help me. But now that I'm like actually pursuing it more, like my AP Psych class taught me honestly like more about acting than probably taking an acting class in high school could have, and just like learning about the way the human mind works. So I think it does like fit in unique ways, or like the way history classes literally can help in like a Shakespeare course that you're taking.
Yeah, like AP Lit helps me so much in like play analysis when I have to read a play for class and like analyze the characters and their motives and stuff like that. Like I definitely learned a lot from like taking AP English in high school. So it's definitely being put to good use.
So what's like the split for you in terms of like academic classes, and then how many more like theater-based classes are you taking?
So it kind of depends on the semester. So, I mean, obviously you know this, but for the people watching who don't know this, Northeastern has this program for first-year students where they send about 1,000 of their students abroad the first semester. So my first semester was spent in Rome, in Italy, and yeah, awesome program. Totally recommend it. But at this school, John Cabot University in Rome, they really only had one theater class. It was just like an intro to acting class, which I took. And then the rest of my classes were communications classes or Italian culture classes. So then because my first semester was mostly communication classes, then last semester I took 3 theater classes and 1 communications class. So I kind of balanced it out. And then for the upcoming fall semester, I was supposed to have an even split between the two, but they canceled all of the theater classes this fall except for like 2 of them. So,
did they really?
Yeah.
Wait, that's really interesting.
Because they were like, I mean, they're keeping like acting 1 and intro to theater, I think, for like the freshmen. But basically all upperclassmen theater classes are canceled because they're like, unless you like really need this class to graduate, which I don't think anybody will in the fall, then they're like, this class is not going to operate well online. So
no, that's true. I'm not a fan of online acting classes.
Yeah, no.
Not my favorite thing.
But going forward, it will probably be an even split 2 and 2. Or maybe sometimes it'll be more 3 academic classes, 1 theater class, but then I will be doing a show or I'll be working on crew for a show, because a lot of my requirements as a theater major are not even classes. Like I have to work on crew for 2 shows and then be like a stage manager for another show and then act in another show. So I have 4 like actual show requirements that are like required to graduate. So those are kind of where a lot of my requirements lie, is outside of the classroom.
How many shows do you guys do a year? And like, are those available to you from the beginning? Like obviously you were abroad.
Yeah. So we do 5 shows a year, and 3 of them are like the main stage ones, and then 2 of them are a lot smaller. And so since we're just a normal theater program, almost all of them are plays, but we alternate year by year. So this year we did Urinetown the musical, but next year we'll do a Shakespeare play, and then the year after we'll do a musical. So we alternate musical Shakespeare. Yeah, so freshmen can audition. I obviously did an audition in the fall, and I also did an audition in the spring because I auditioned for a club that produces musicals because I just was having musical theater withdrawal. So I was in a musical production in the spring. But yeah, going forward, I will audition. And you can only be in one show a semester. So it kind of spreads out like who is allowed, like how many people in the program are in the shows.
Can anyone audition, or do you have to be in the theater program?
Anyone can audition. But they send out like the sign up sheet for auditions to theater majors first, then theater minors, and then they like open it up to the public. By the time it's open up, like most of the slots are filled to audition. So
Okay.
like, you can audition, but you kind of have to be like outside the theater office right when they post it, like ready to sign up.
You're ready. How many people do you have? Like, what are the numbers of like theater majors versus minors and that type of thing?
I want to say there's roughly, I would say there's probably 25 theater majors per class.
Okay.
Maybe more, maybe a little bit more. And then minors, I'm not sure, but I would say that there's more than that. There's a lot of theater minors, probably close to like 30 a grade. Yeah.
Like 25 isn't that far off then, because I feel like a lot of like your standard BFA, it's like now it's changing. Like some are so small, some felt
Yeah.
like 12, but like for the most part they're around 20.
Yeah, I mean, a bit different from a BFA. Like I'm not taking my classes with just those like those 25 people.
Yeah.
Like when I took my acting class in the spring, it was just with the people who were abroad in the fall. So my acting class was just 9 people in the spring. But then
It's really nice though to have, especially
yeah,
I feel like for an acting, like it can be really nice to have a small setting.
no, yeah, it definitely was. But then my tech theater class that I took in the spring was pretty big. It was most of the theater freshmen plus a few theater upperclassmen who like changed into the major after their freshman year. But yeah, it's a pretty small program, but like opposed to other schools, it's small because it's not like very well known.
Yeah.
Like because
Do you feel like you still have a class though? Like did those 25, like do you guys know each other really well? Do you know what I mean? Like
I
does it feel
do.
like a group, or do you guys all like branch out a lot?
Um, well, unfortunately, I really was only on campus for a few months. but I know, but like looking at classes older than mine, I know that like the classes do become very close to each other and like hang out all the time. And I did make like, I mean, I did get close with a lot of people in my class, especially the kids that I was abroad with, because we were in our acting class together. And we have this class called theater at Northeastern, which is just like this, it's not even a class, it's just like we're going to go here every Tuesday, and each week we're going to bring in a member of the theater faculty for you guys to like talk to and meet and like learn more about the program. So I became pretty close with the people that went abroad with me, but I also worked on costumes for a show, and I became really close with the people that I worked on costumes with.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Going like forward towards like your junior or even now, I'm curious like what connections does Northeastern have? Because you guys don't do showcase. Do you showcase or anything like that? Like how
Yeah.
do they do like branching out into the industry?
So Northeastern has this thing called the co-op program, which is basically you take a semester off of school to work a job. So most people don't graduate in 4 years unless you take class over the summer, but I did take class over the summer this year. But so, for example, I'm set to go on my first co-op sophomore spring. And so, like, very common places are like the American Repertory Theater, which is where like Waitress had its out-of-town tryout, and like Great Comet had its out-of-town tryout, and like a lot of shows there go to Broadway, and like all of the equity theaters in Boston are partnered with Northeastern for co-ops. So like in a co-op situation, I would be going there to do like arts administration, like event management, stage management, stuff like that. Never like actually acting in the shows, but having that experience like on your resume, if you were to then graduate and then go audition as an actor, and seeing on your resume that you worked, like not even as an intern, like you worked a full-time paid job at one of these equity theaters, is like really impressive to a lot of people. And but there is a showcase for seniors that is like a monologue acting showcase that they have
That's
at the end
awesome.
of the year. But yeah.
No, I agree. That's so helpful to like have that experience to understand how the front of the house is working, and like it also just makes you more respectful. Like I was really happy you said that they make you guys do crew, because I think every program should have that. Like
For sure.
understand like the person who's doing spotlight, like how that works. Even just like ushering a show. I think every
Yeah.
actor at some point should do.
Yeah. But oh, what was I just gonna say? Oh no.
No, you're so fine.
I was so ready. But yeah, working on crew was definitely like a really good experience for me because it's hard work, and I have not really been in that position that much.
Oh, yeah,
I did a little bit in high school. Like I did a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was like very chill. It was costumes crew in high school was pulling from the closet of costumes that we had, opposed to making them.
Yeah.
um,
No, it's
yeah.
something I need to do more of at AMDA, because I remember at RCA when we did Seven Brides and Seven Brothers, because there's not really much of an ensemble, like the second act, we just became crew. Like I had like a giant staircase, and like that was my job. Like I was in the show, but I basically moved the stairs. And I always say though, I learned like so much. Like I felt like crew, and I felt like I learned so much doing that show, moving a staircase, than like I would have been.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but
I remember what I was gonna say.
the option to do it. Oh, you remembered?
Yes, I remember. So, like AMDA, like how you go to auditions and like you go to Broadway casting calls,
Yeah.
a lot of kids in the theater program do go and audition because they, like most of these equity theaters hold auditions like just for college students, because Boston has like Emerson and BOCO, which like are obviously great programs, and then but then just like the Northeastern kids just like hop in there. But like hi. Yeah, but there was actually
It's a good theater scene.
yeah, it's pretty like up and coming, and I think that, I mean, no offense to New York, but it's pretty a lot easier to break into. um,
No, like
but
when we go up, I remember one of my friends, he was going in for West Side, but he like King Kong had just closed, and like all of the King Kong ensemble was like at the audition, and he was like, well, no pressure, like here we go.
But a girl in the grade above me got cast in a show at, I think, the Lyric Stage Company, and she is now getting like equity points for working there. And she is like does her classes during the day and like went to rehearsal at night. And I think the show closed early because of COVID, but she still got her equity points on the resume boost. So yeah.
Yes. No, I remember my voice teacher in high school actually at one point talked to me about like after college moving to Boston or something and getting just like regional credits and building a resume there versus moving to New York and just like diving straight into that scene. And same thing with like Chicago. And
Yeah.
so it's not audition based, or is it? What's like the application process like for the school and for the theater program?
It is not audition based for the program, but you can send in on a video audition or go on audition for scholarship, which I didn't know until after I applied. And it's only for freshmen, like incoming freshmen. But if you audition, then you're basically automatically guaranteed a scholarship and a spot in the honors program. I mean, like show interest and like show that you're really passionate and like into the program. I know a few people in my class that are on full ride scholarships to the 75,000 university just for like auditioning. So if you audition, it's like they're not gonna not accept you. They're, like the audition is just for like more perks and stuff. But yeah, it's not audition based. But
Is there a separate essay or anything like that?
I don't remember, honestly. I don't think there was when I applied, but I think that there is now. I think
Okay.
it's like a short supplement on the Common App being like what is interesting you in the theater program here.
Do they ever go to any of the unifieds, or would you have to go to Boston to audition?
Um, well, you can send in the video. I think most people do send in the
Oh,
video unless they live in Massachusetts. I don't
okay.
think that they're like really, I think they're really expecting people to send in the video. I think they only have like 2 weekends that they even have in-person auditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
And
could see in the future them becoming an audition program because the program is growing significantly. Like the senior class has like under 20 people in the program because they were very, it was pretty small when it started. I mean, the program is old, but like, I guess just more people are going to college for theater now because like,
really are.
it's like growing, it's growing a lot. And my professor told me that like of applicants this year, there were a lot more applicants to the theater program.
Yeah.
So,
I think I feel like even because we just auditioned like last year, or I guess now it's been like over a year, but it wasn't that long ago. And talking to people like now going through the process, it already feels like it's changed so much. Senior year, when you're in the moment, it is so all consuming and like every little detail of it. But now looking back, like there's so much I forgot that happened, or
yeah,
like auditions that maybe in the moment like felt so like in depth and like now just mean nothing, or like
I
I
know.
could like she asked me like questions about different dance calls, and
I was like,
other than dancing to Too Darn Hot, and I remember Ball State was Free
oh, that was
Flag.
fun. That was such a fun call.
That one was a lot of fun, but she was like, how long are they? And I'm like, I have no idea. I feel like I just went in, danced, like
And
blacked out and left.
like, I could not tell you all the places that I did a walk-in audition at Unified's audition.
Yeah, that's the other thing. How many I feel like we could do like a whole separate video like just talking about unifieds.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Did you love it though? Like looking
I
back, I
loved
kind
it.
of
Oh my
loved
god, I
it.
loved it. It was so exhilarating.
Yeah, I feel like if you just like eat in and like accept the insanity
Oh yeah.
that it is,
Mhm.
then you can just have so much fun and like
Like I
just
think
like
walking from my
resume
hotel to Pearl Studios, like walking there and then seeing a huge line out the door in the morning, I was like, okay, this is like intense, but this is like dope.
yeah. And you do like meet people. Like, did you have audition friends that you like still
Yeah,
like
like I'm
just
friends with them on
like
Facebook.
miss like I'm not talking to every day, but like I still have them on Snap, and like
Yeah,
we still follow each other on Instagram and stuff, which I think is really cool.
it is. Yeah, it is definitely cool. It's a very, it's a bonding experience because like I feel like everybody tries to make it seem like it's like so competitive and like people are going to be really mean, which there are definitely some people that are, but
You had yeah.
I
I think you both had
I
moments.
definitely had some interesting moments, but I feel like more people than those mean people are very nice and looking to support each other because we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Then there are just
It's
some
like,
people who think that they're better than everybody and will just try to make you small.
but I remember our teachers saying how like they still go to auditions and there's someone they like met at Unifieds or like met at a college audition. And I'm like so excited for that because I could definitely see that being true. Because it's
That's
like that's like your pool of actors and like people you're kind of be up against for your
like
entire life.
somebody sent me a TikTok of some guy like singing, I think Santa Fe, and I was like, oh my god, I literally know that person. He was at my Syracuse audition, and he was like TikTok famous.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
No theater. I feel like theater majors are like really popping off on TikTok,
so they
and
totally,
I
totally
love the theater scene of TikTok.
the best.
Um, what was my next question? No, I lost my train of thought.
I don't know, Colleen.
I need a list though. We kind of jumped around, but I feel like we covered a lot of it.
You
I was
definitely
my thing. I think my next two are just like your general advice for both auditioning in general, anyone who's starting the process, but then also advice for people who may be looking at Northeastern and like why they should and that type of thing.
sure. My advice is, this is pretty hypocritical, but is don't take everybody's advice because there are going to be people who tell you where you should apply and what monologue you should do and what song you should sing, which I definitely appreciated a lot of that. but I think I took a little bit of it too seriously and listened too carefully to other people rather than listening to myself. Like, I knew that there were schools that I probably was not going to get into, but I applied anyways, and I knew that there were schools that I probably should have applied to, but I was like, no, like, I'm too good for those programs, which was false. Like, I was very in this mindset that I was like going to go to a like top tier school, which was happens to people, but it definitely happens to people. But I think getting stuck in that mindset is a little detrimental because you get so focused on that you forget about what you're actually trying to do. And so I would just say, do your research, look at schools that you think that you wouldn't apply to because maybe they're actually the perfect program for you. And yeah, that was something I definitely regret, is not doing enough research, because I'm now learning about all of these schools, like, as a freshman in college, because I'm still in the Facebook group, and I'm like,
Same.
oh,
I never
yeah. I'm like, oh, this school sounds great. I had no idea about it when I was auditioning. I should have applied.
Yeah. I actually sorry to interrupt. No, but I did a Zoom recently because it's like I am so happy at AMDA, and like I am very happy with where I ended up, but it is interesting, like, going back and, like you said, like, learning about these other programs. And I did a Zoom kind of like representing AMDA, since people can't tour now, and there was so many different programs and like a really wide range of schools, and there was probably like 10 schools on there I didn't even like look at for a second, like didn't even visit their website. And hearing their students talk about their program, I was like, I probably would have been so happy there and like still gotten great training. And it like is kind of a shame looking back that I literally didn't even go on their website to like look at their audition.
Make a huge spreadsheet of like all of these schools. I did that for the schools that I ended up applying to, but I should have done it for all of the schools that I was looking at, because it really, like, seeing it all laid out like that and like doing a lot of research will not only show you what schools are good for you, but will show you what you don't want in a program. Is like looking at other schools and being like, oh, well, this school is offering this, this, and this, and like if another school isn't offering that, then like that's not what I want. So
because I feel like in the end, like even one of the programs that can be considered like top 3, it doesn't mean it's like the best thing for you or is going to guarantee you. Right. And I remember like towards the end, like when it finally came down, like I got my acceptances and went deciding, I feel like really grateful that I did have choices, because I realized like programs that might have been considered better, I'm like, but wait, I was like, I want a lot of dance training, and like this is what's important to me in this school. And just because this school might be like technically ranked higher or not doesn't mean it will be a good fit for me, and that type of thing.
Right. Like the schools that I got, the programs that I got into for like musical theater, BFA type deals were not schools that I consider to be like academically rigorous enough for me, and that was something that I wanted in a program, and I ended up choosing that over like getting a BFA, because I knew that like I wouldn't thrive in a place where I wasn't like very academically challenged. So that was like a decision that I wasn't even like, did not even cross my mind when I first started applying. I was like, I don't care where it is. I don't care if the school has a 98% acceptance rate. Like, I'm getting a BFA. But yeah, so.
Because I think also in the beginning, like, you are aware of how cutthroat it was. So at least personally, I just like always felt like I was auditioning for them, and like you forget that it's like you can audition the school as well, and then like, you don't have to just run to whatever program takes you.
Like, I mean, there were some schools where I did not like the people that I was auditioning for, but they were like considered a big top 10 school. So I was like, I mean, if I get in, I'm gonna have to go, even though I didn't like the people that I was auditioning for, which I think is not a good mindset to be in. You don't have to go to a school just because it's like some huge name if it's not right for you.
For sure. And it's also funny on like the other side, looking back, I feel like there was probably like 4 schools that like at the audition, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love. Like, this is the school for me. Like, this is the one. And like, I probably had that feeling 4 different times.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like my advice would just be like, it's okay. like not everything that you considered your dream school is like, especially like for me, like AMDA was in no way my dream school at the beginning. Like it was kind of my quote unquote like safety, or I didn't even know much about the program. And then that's another time where when you said not taking other people's advice, because people who like never even went to the school were like, oh, don't look at AMDA, like why are you doing that? And I just like kept hearing that. And then when I kind of pushed that all away and like did the research myself, and I went myself to go to school and talk to a mom, that then I was like, wait, this is a good program and I think this might be the one for me. So at some point I feel like you do have to like push away what other people are saying and just kind of like make the decision for yourself.
And definitely another thing that was very important is once you do get back all of your acceptances and like all of your choices, to go to the schools that you got into. I mean, granted, all of the schools that I got into were driving distance away from me, so I don't know, like it depends on where it is, but I went to the schools that I got into, and that was very made it very clear where I should be going.
We
Rather
toured
than
together for some.
and I realized that school is not for me. Yeah, but like for example, I went to Northeastern had this like theater open house one day, and I was actually up in Boston because I was touring Boston University, and I was like, well, I might as well go. I mean, yeah, I went to BU Accepted Students Day, and I was like, well, I might as well go to this thing at Northeastern. Like, I don't know if I'll be there that long, whatever. And I went, and I got to go to one of the classes and like participate in this class, and like the teacher like made me do my monologue in front of this class of seniors, and I was like, okay. But then I like got to talk to a lot of students and a lot of faculty, and like being there I was like, okay, this school is like really cool. I wasn't expecting to like it this much, but I'm glad that I did. So
That's another huge thing, because I think WestCon was maybe the only one I like really went and spent like, or no, WestCon and LIU, I like sat in on classes. But I feel like a lot of people don't even know about that. And you can literally email like a current student and ask them to talk to their teachers. You can reach out to faculty yourself. Like so many schools do it, but they don't really advertise that they do it necessarily. And that can be like a game changer, is actually like hearing someone talk about their program or like read the curriculum online is like so different than actually sitting in an acting class. And even like getting the vibe of like students, because sometimes like I really like not competitive in like a mean sense, but I like to feel really pushed and like really challenged. And that's like so important to me. And I realized some schools, like when I actually went to add on a class, it just like felt a little bit too laid back, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. Like I want to be less pushed, which is something I feel like you can only learn by being on campus.
Yes, for sure. I mean, when you're talking to someone about their program, they're not gonna like tell you the bad things probably. Like if you ask like what are the bad things about your program, they're gonna be like, oh my god, we're just like too close. Like we're just like spend all our time together. Like they're not gonna tell you that like some of the teachers suck probably. Like I feel like everybody talks about their program and like hypes it up so much, but it's important for you to actually go and like experience it. It's definitely
because I think also if you can go and even get like a student more alone, like not just a student when they're like working a tour, but like actually just in their day, then sometimes they'll be more honest with you. Even I feel like messaging, they'll just be like a little bit more honest than if they're like working in orientation where their program is them to like be there for the day. Like two very different things. Oh, college auditions.
Oh, you asked to talk about if like you're interested in Northeastern.
Oh yeah. What's your message?
So I would just like to say that I mentioned earlier that I'm a theater and communications combined major, so I just want to talk about that a little bit more. But so basically that means that I'm getting one degree, but like in two majors. So basically like a combined majors, they like cut out some of the fluff of both of the majors and like combine them. So it is heavier load than just one major, but the theater program has combined majors with like the communications department, media and screen studies, English, history, American Sign Language, like has a lot of combined majors, so that if you like people oftentimes talk about like a backup plan, and like if you feel like,
At least favorite term.
we love a backup plan. But I find that I'm very confident in my backup plan because I go to a very highly esteemed university, and like I'm getting a degree in something other than just theater. And I think that that's going to help me with a career outside of theater if I choose to do that. And I think that for all my people out there,
what careers are you looking at? Like, it's also like okay if you don't know. That's such an annoying answer to get. But like, are you thinking like you want to give performing a go and like audition for a year? Like, I know we've talked about you producing, or like, could you even take this degree and be a casting director? I'm curious.
Funny you say that. I'm starting to think about my first co-op next spring, and I mean, it's going to be a little bit rough doing a theater co-op in the spring with like who knows what's going on with COVID and whatever.
Hopefully regional theaters can open. That's fine.
Yeah. But like a lot of people have worked for like Boston Casting Company in the past and like sit in on a lot of equity auditions and just like work with casting directors, which is great as a co-op because you're meeting casting directors and working for them, so that if you want to go in and audition, they'll be like, oh my gosh, hey, like you worked here.
That's like the best class is sitting in auditions, but then also getting to be behind the table and like hear what directors and casting directors are saying. Like that's the best class you could ever have.
So I'm looking at like jobs like that. I'm also pretty interested in like marketing for theater industries, like marketing for shows and like marketing for the theater company itself, like community outreach and like getting more people to come and like audience development, stuff like that. But I definitely think that I will audition, but I won't make it like my main priority. Like I think I will probably work a job, but like, go to auditions, and then if something happens, then I'll be in shows. But a lot of theater majors work at like Walt Disney World, like doing Disney College Program, but paid. I don't know if that's like, but like kind of like a job. I don't know if that's like a secret, but like, oh yeah, a lot of people like work there as cast members, like performers. People have worked for the Tony Awards. A lot of we have some partnerships with theaters in New York. So I think that I'll probably try to like work a job in the theater industry that is not necessarily performing while continuing my passion for performing, but maybe not making it my job.
Yeah, but it sounds like you have so many options, which I think is huge because theater is such like an inconsistent career. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean? Like there's just no stability to it. And you just never know where it will take you. So I think having the flexibility with your degree is such an amazing position to be in.
And I think that a lot of people like you and like people in these intense conservatories are able to completely commit themselves to like auditioning, like let's go, like this is my dream, it's happening, Broadway, like it's happening. And I did not have that intense determination and motivation to do that, and I know that I would fail. But if you feel that you are able to like go out and be on Broadway and like commit wholeheartedly to that, then I'm so jealous of you, and you do that. But if you're like me,
no, I don't know where that mindset came from, but I definitely always had it. I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it work, but I always knew I would. And like to this day, like I still don't know how, but I'm still like dead set that I will. And I think that's choosing AMDA though I loved because originally I was gonna do AMDA for the BFA, and then I went with my dad in person. We were like, oh no, we love this 2-year program because it gave me the ability to like go out and audition and work. But then if another opportunity presented itself where like I want the degree, it would be very easy for me to go back, and in like a year and a half I could go and like get my degree.
Which is awesome.
Or even like now with the new school, which I just found out Taylor Lauderman finished her degree at the new school.
Really? Oh, yes. So she left Michigan to do like Bring It On or something?
Yeah. because she left her sophomore year. And so just like recently this year, it's not the BFA, but she's graduating. Because what's so great about the new school, Live Love It, it's like one of the few places that will accept musical theater like class credits, because that's really all I have at AMDA. So we love that. But it's still like a great school. So they accept, like they took all of her Michigan musical theater, they take all your AMDA dance and acting credits. And then from there you can build on. So she, I don't know all the details of what she took, but she's graduating with a BS in liberal arts. But I know AMDA alum who are getting an actual BFA in musical theater, just finishing up.
That program is cool.
So yeah.
We're looking at it.
Yeah, it's just like, when I read that though, I was like, that's so fierce. Like, I feel like a lot of people might not know that about Taylor, like, or that she was even pursuing a degree after like such a successful career so young. She also just got married. Some fun facts about Taylor.
I saw